he touch your leg one time? Is that what happened?
Who?
Matt?
What?
Are you keeping your distance so we don't go?
I don't want to say anything.
Because I'm all like...
He tries to get upskirts because he can.
Tries.
Alright. Meet Your Monsters podcast is brought to you by The Ugly Tree. The Ugly Tree is a comic book series created by our own Abram Macon.
That's me.
It's the story of a young woman who must team up with horrible monsters to save her family from a madman. The Ugly Tree is a horror comedy. If you like the movies we talk about on this podcast, you will definitely see their influence in this book. You can check out The Ugly Tree on Facebook and Twitter. The first issue is for sale now. The second issue will be available soon.
Okay, thank you, sir. Welcome to Meet Your Monsters. My name is Abe. This is...
Kathleen?
Colby.
I'm Matt.
For you at home, Meet Your Monsters is a podcast in which I show my friends horror movies that I love, and we find out if they can overcome their fear and love them too, or if they think my taste in movies sucks. Matt, why don't we start off with the sinister synopsis like we have done in the past episode?
I think it's an important disclaimer to let everybody know that we did a candy run before this.
Yes.
So you're probably going to hear our rappers and us eating candy while we're doing this.
We did hit the 7-Eleven candy aisle.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
That's right.
Hit it, Matt.
All right.
So half the time my mouth will be like... Okay, go for it.
All right. Well, our story starts 100 years ago with Van Helsing battling monsters, and we establish that there's some kind of goodness amulet that sends them into limbo.
Yeah, they didn't explain quite what the amulet was at the beginning. It was just like a big shiny jewel thing, and then they all got
They were yelling at it.
sucked into a portal. Yeah, they were.
And I realized
They
now
were
it's
reading
because
German at it.
The first bit, she took too long, like reading it, and that's what happened. Screwed over the next generation.
Well, in her defense, he was like screaming at her while she's trying to read
Yeah.
this book and shit.
you know, I
Which
think I
also
just
happened
noticed a
the second
factual
time.
error with that, because if it was 100 years ago, that'd be 1884, and wasn't Dracula written in like 1902 or something?
I have no idea,
Oh,
but I'm sure it was
that's-
older. But
Throw
That's a
that
good
out
point.
there.
but who's to say that they haven't been fighting on and off for hundreds of years?
That's true.
Yeah,
Good point.
and somehow they made it to America.
Well, and that's when they tried to went with like the Van Helsing was a real dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
He was a real. All right, and then we flash forward 100 years, and we meet our main casts, which
I got it. It was Sean, Patrick, Horace, Rudy, Phoebe, Eugene, and Emily.
All right.
Emily was the mom.
Was she, or was she this?
Phoebe
part of the
was the
squad.
little girl.
Yeah.
She birthed like 1/3 of the squad, so
Well, we flash forward 100 years and we see Sean and Patrick in the principal's office because they like monsters a lot.
They've been drawing monsters on their paper when they should be listening to the science teacher.
yeah.
Mm.
What would be the issue there, right? Drawing the pictures.
I don't know. I used
We're
to
disrupting class or anything.
I used to get in trouble for drawing on my papers too.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
One time we were doing the CSAPs and I would just draw like pictures instead of right answers. I'd draw pictures of like knights fighting dragons and like stick figures playing basketball.
Did you get an A?
No, CSAPs is like standardized testing.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And then we meet the other characters of the Monster Squad, which are Horace and I'm just gonna call him Badass because
Rudy.
Rudy,
Yeah.
the smoking, drinking
Where?
6th grader.
He was in junior high.
New junior high.
Oh, junior high.
I don't know how that look went away. The sunglasses
The spiky
with
hair.
the leather jacket and like the finger gloves.
Yeah.
Good, I think it's still a badass look to this day.
I used to have some finger glove, like the fingerless gloves, and I called them the grips. And I would jump around on the monkey bars. The problem was they were the anti-grip.
Yeah.
And so I would try to jump from bar to bar, and I would go flying off and bust my ass.
We should bring that look back, the finger gloves.
Yeah, get some finger gloves.
Yeah.
I think I got some in my basement.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
Finger gloves or fingerless gloves?
Fingerless gloves.
Okay, because I'm
Finger
all
gloves,
gloves,
no.
finger
Yeah.
gloves.
Mittens.
Oh, that's true. How could I have forgotten?
There's the one glove that you can use for shooting that's got the mitten part and then
Oh,
the finger.
yeah.
So you're set up like the penguin. Penguin would be a great sniper in the snow.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is back when men were men and you would smoke when you were in junior high.
That's true.
And then peep on the neighbor girl with the camera.
Which is happened all the time in the 80s. It seems like.
I can't.
It wasn't a crime back then.
It was, but if you showed your pictures to the police officers, they'd let you off.
Yeah.
He'd be like, rad, and drive off.
Spin a cookie.
But you had to tell them that the girl was in fact Major. Check it out, Sarge. This babe's Major.
Free to go, son.
So yeah, we establish the other two characters, Horace and Rudy.
Fat guy.
Horace they call Fat Kid.
Yeah,
Fat kid,
Fat
yeah.
Kid.
And they squish his Snickers, and Rudy comes to his rescue. It's fucking cold-blooded, man.
Stereotypical 80s bullies, because you can't have an 80s movie without
Was
a crazy bully.
Was that Eugene, the bully?
No, that was EJ.
EJ, there
And
we
he
go.
was the older brother on Wonder Years.
Wonder Years, yeah.
Oh,
He was always playing a dick.
In everything.
Yeah.
He was...
He was-
Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Yeah.
yeah, and then we find ourselves at a different location on a plane where apparently they're transporting the bodies of Dracula and Frankenstein's monster. Was there other
I
monsters
think it was
on
just
there?
Frankenstein
It was-
because it was Dracula as a bat was in there.
Yeah, Dracula as a bat was hanging out in there. They were taking Frankenstein's monster somewhere. I don't. Just two pilots and a plane with a monster. I don't know what.
Harmless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know like where they got him, what he did. But it was cool that they had him.
It was
Yeah.
cool.
Worked
Yeah,
out for
They
us
had
as
him.
viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure Dracula's motivation for wanting Frankenstein. I guess he wanted all the major Universal monsters together for this one. But I don't know what exactly
He kept
for.
calling him old friend.
Yeah, maybe
He was
they
like a
were
bodyguard.
used to hang out back in the day, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty convenient that, from the plane, he opens up the hatch and they drop down into a lagoon where the creature from the Black Lagoon happens to be too.
Yeah. Well, his timing was
Perfection.
perfect.
Yeah.
And I like, too, how it wasn't bolted down or tied down or anything. It was just kind
Think
of...
about it. Dracula's had 100 years to plan this.
I think he was pulling an Ocean's 11 with this whole thing. He was recruiting his team. He had it all planned out from the beginning.
Okay, so once they get down into the swamp, they drop the thing. This was one of the things that I thought was so cool. His cane is like the head of a wolf, and he takes the ears off, and they become the little bolts in Frankenstein, and then
Like the jumper cables.
Yeah, and he opens up his cane like a lightning rod, and they shock his ass back to life. And I always
It's not
thought, like,
planning.
yeah, he had that way planned out. But it's so funny because I'm like, he just carries that around all the time.
Yeah.
Like, how often does this?
No, he
come
just
up?
did it for the one night.
He's got other canes that like.
I just feel like forgot his cane. It's like, no, I had it made for tonight. Like, where is this cane?
Do you think he's got one that looks like a toilet paper roll so he can wrap up the mummy?
He'd have to make do with like a car antenna and some power lines.
Yeah. One's a fishing hook so he can catch the fucking gill man.
Other a fire hydrant for the Wolfman. So, and speaking of Wolfman, from the swamp scene, we cut to the police station where they seem to have caught a werewolf.
Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. Well,
He's
at
the
first it
wolf
just
man.
seems like a drunken crazy person.
Yeah.
And the police kill him, and he's like raving about, "I'm a werewolf, lock me up."
Locked him up, yeah.
And he tries to beat up some cops, and they shoot his ass. And then when they're transporting him, he comes back, and we get to see the actual wolf man.
A thing I appreciate in that scene, and this is, I think, to go with all the 80s movies, is the cops went for it, man. They tried it. They tried tackling the wolf man.
Yeah,
They jumped on him. They threw him through windows and shit.
yeah.
The 80s, the cops went for it.
They went up the scale. They tried talking to him, tackling him, punching him, kicking him, and
Shot him.
shot his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's just a bunch of dicks in movies that stand around. They're like, oh no, Batman's flying away.
Oh,
Oh.
bye. So, and that's kind of what tips off the kids that there's monsters running around, right? Is the werewolf, they hear about the guy coming back to life after being shot?
Well, I think the first call was to the mummy because the mummy went missing from the museum,
Yeah.
Oh,
and his
that's
dad
right.
got called in to investigate the stolen
Yeah.
mummy.
And then,
Another
from, and then
Sean
from Mummy to
overhears-
Wolfman, they just connected the dots like pros. They're like,
Yeah.
Another thing we discussed during the movie, and I think it's worth knowing, I'm 25, I was born in 1989, but I firmly believe that the 80s movies were the best movies of any period. And they did the parents right. They weren't just like dick background characters like they are movies today.
They seem to get along, yeah. Like
Well,
they had
like
a
people.
relationship.
They're like
you know?
people, yeah. And they hung out with their kids, and now it's just like Liev Schreiber standing around the background, like, "Hey, Dad."
What movie was he standing in the background?
All of
The
his
Omen.
movies.
Oh, in The Omen?
Yeah, just like, "Hey, Dad."
Yeah.
But on that note, there was like an unresolved plot line where
There was some family problems.
Sean's parents were like having some real issues. Never brought up again.
Yeah.
No, it's just to add emotional depth.
I wonder if there was an angle there that they had to cut out for time.
Maybe there
Or
were some deleted scenes.
maybe.
His dad ended up slapping his mom. It's like, he's the real monster.
Oh,
That's what it's about. The whole thing is about the monster of the family.
the monsters were inside us the whole time.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, because from the werewolf getting shot and coming back, we cut back to the treehouse, and they're kind of like establishing their monster squaddiness by
Well, they're
hanging out.
initiating Rudy into
Yeah,
the
they-
monster squad.
by testing his monster knowledge.
Yeah. And they ask him the weakest fucking monster questions
Yeah.
on the planet.
And it's kind of a sad character if you think about it. Like, he's like 16, rides his
Hanging-
bike back to elementary school, like smoking cigarettes,
Hanging out with like
beating up little kids.
But if you think about it, though, he's a really good character because he goes back to the school to save Fat Kid from
Yeah.
getting beat up. And then he's like, fuck it, I'll hang out with these kids. Why not?
Yeah.
I could perv on that girl across the street.
Yeah. And a treehouse, I mean,
Yeah, that was
like I
pretty
said before, I'm
bitchin'
25, and if
treehouse.
I still had a fucking treehouse, like, I'd be a happy camper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They had a good little setup for a monster club.
Yeah, all these kids in their goddamn tree houses, they're amazing.
Yeah. Had a bunch of car seats in there.
Yeah,
so-
mine was just like, I put like a piece of siding, like, leaned it up against the house and sitting there, like, yeah, it's my fort.
And yeah, running parallel to that scene is Dracula setting up his monster squad. Ooh,
Ooh, we should
symbolism.
say though too that okay, so there's a scene where Sean gets a message from someone named Alucard that he wants to buy his Van Helsing journal.
His mom bought it at a garage sale, the Van Helsing journal.
Yeah.
Which, as I brought up earlier, every time I try and make up an alias, I obviously go for Tam.
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 Y block.
Iba.
This is Iba. I'm calling about your journal.
Yeah, so from that journal, they need someone to translate it, so they go over to this guy on welfare's house, who also happens to be German.
Yeah.
Not just German, scary German.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
listed in IMDb, like the character list, as scary German guy.
Scary German
Poor
guy.
guy couldn't even get a name, even though he gave him pie and Pepsi.
He was a pretty sweet dude.
Help
Yeah.
them save the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also on a darker note, in an camp during the Holocaust.
Yeah, he was a survivor. He had the numbers on his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when they decided to do the Monster Squad thing and it did that hands-in thing, I realized that I always wanted to do that as a kid, but never got to.
We'll do
Where-
it later.
Never?
Where all the
Yeah.
group puts their hands in. And
Yeah, well, I think it's because I had like 2 friends growing up. Like, call Ty over. You know, we're gonna do the hands-in thing, guys.
Well, you remember that scene in It where they all had to put in their hands and then swear to come back if the monster ever came back?
Yeah.
That shit used to really fuck with me as a kid.
And then they all had to put their... and that one girl.
They did all have
That
to...
was like an all hands in on a deeper level.
All
They-
Wang's in.
They had to pull a train on Little Beverly in the sewer, which also as a kid was a great fucking scene to read. Did you ever read that book?
No, I heard
Okay,
that.
so I know we're going away from Monster Squad
Yeah,
here,
but this
but
scene
This
is
is
worth talking
important.
about.
Yeah, this is giving.
okay, so
context.
in the book,
Well, you know what? We can relate this back because one of the characters was wearing a Stephen King rules shirt.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the book, they get lost in the sewers after they've beat up the clown the first time, and the only way that they can figure out how to get out of there is if they all fuck Beverly.
Why? What does that have to do with anything?
I have no idea.
They have some...
There's some sort of connection that they need to make
yeah.
physical.
They all have like some ability, and
Couldn't they just like
Right.
rubbed like her wang on her thigh?
No, they all and it was like a big fuck you to her father because their dad was always saying how she was a slut and she was sleeping with all those kids down there, and they were innocent kids just trying to
Not anymore.
not get eaten.
Building
But then that's
dams
what
and
it
such.
was. It kind of like all right, take this, Dad, and she fucked them all, and then
How old were they?
they were
They're
like
very young.
fuck, 13, something like that.
Yeah,
oh, that's
at
not
the
as
most.
bad then.
Yeah, I mean
Well-
old enough that at least
Like,
one
we
of them
gotta
came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to run their dicks through a spooge like, to get him. Like that was the connection they all made.
Imagine that. Like, how'd you lose your virginity?
I
Well,
understand. We're in the sewers. This fucked
7
up
kids in a
clown.
sewer.
We had to make a connection. You see.
There's probably not a lot of kids who lost their virginity in a train, right?
speak for yourself, dude.
Yeah. I guess I was a late bloomer. We just went with the threesome. Okay, back to the
Yeah,
monster
back to-
squad. Where were we?
So these little kids are all fucking the little girl in the treehouse.
Yeah, the German guy translates Van Helsing's journal, and that leads them to the creepy mansion where Dracula has set up his base camp with his monsters.
They determine from his writing that there's a balance of good and evil, like there always is. And every 100 years, Dracula has the option of destroying the amulet and, of course, shifting the balance to evil. And they must stop this by collecting this amulet, which they figure out is at his house somehow.
Yeah.
Remember, they didn't figure it out.
They just
there.
went looking for
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They just went to see it, like if they could find Dracula,
Right.
and they went with Frankenstein.
Had they teamed up with Frankenstein?
Yeah, they had.
Oh, that's right.
They were
Yeah.
like best friends by then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was part of the monster
Frankenstein-
squad. He's
Well-
the one that finally got a picture of the neighbor girl naked.
Yeah,
He's
well,
got sick photography skills. Not a well-known fact about Frankenstein's monster.
That's why all the villagers are after him.
he's shooting for Vogue now. Yeah, so Frankenstein just shows up out of nowhere and becomes best friends with the little girl. Which, like you pointed out, they did that great shot where you see the feet next to the little girl by the water.
Yeah.
Classic Frankenstein
Did
moment.
they ever explain why he had to wear those big ass boots?
I think it's
Just to make him look
him
Nothing else
taller.
would fit.
Well, I mean,
He
he
had
had
at
make him
least,
look
like,
taller.
5
he's
inches of
taller 'cause
rubber
he's
on
got the
there.
big fucking boots.
Yeah.
I think they were orthopedic though, so
Did he have actual feet, or did he just have big blocks of fucking wood?
Maybe
foot?
that's it. Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I
think
don't
those
know
are
how
his
old-
feet.
Yeah, they could have been.
so yeah, Frankenstein and the kids are like best buddies at this point.
Yeah.
It is because
and
he
it goes like this: Sean, Horace, who's fat kid, and Frankenstein all bust over to Dracula's house to try to see what's going on, while
Rudy and
Rudy
Which
and
leads to the best scene in the whole movie
which one?
when they're backing up and the Wolfman jumps out and he calls out to Fat Kid to kick him in the nards.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to determine whether or not Wolfman has nards. And the way it determines that is by kicking him, and indeed, Wolfman had nards.
Boots him straight in the hairy sack.
unneutered Wolfman.
Now, as a kid, I remember that scene where he kicks him in the balls and Wolfman does like the big howl thing.
Yeah.
He didn't howl though.
No, he just goes, ow.
Yeah, he just
Oh.
kind of like hunched over, like, ugh.
Maybe
but-
they should have consulted you as a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that would
They
have
didn't miss
added
out
to
on
the
a hell of an
movie.
opportunity.
Yeah, but in my brain, like as I saw this movie as a kid, never ever since, like, I always picture him howling at that. This is the first time I ever noticed that he didn't.
Huh.
Maybe
he
you saw a
should.
different version like on TV.
You never know. Sometimes they do that.
Go to the mansion, meet up with the Wolfman, kick him in the nards. Frankenstein gets taken out early by a shitty door frame.
No, yeah, because he tries to get the amulet out by using dynamite.
Well, Dracula is trying to destroy. Okay, I guess the amulet has been put inside of a room full of crosses and garlic, and he's trying to blow a hole in the wall so he can somehow get at this thing. I think that if the kids had just not gone in there,
It would have been.
he would have been screwed. Well, he could have got the Wolfman to go get it,
That's
or
true.
he did have those.
Also,
Maybe that's why I
what's
brought
the shelf life
Frankenstein
on
back.
garlic anyway? Because it still looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
100-year-old garlic.
enchanted garlic.
so when he goes to blow up the wall, it causes a collapse, and Frankenstein gets buried, and the kids are on their own. They find their way down into that room,
Because
and
they get cornered by like his vampire bitches, Dracula himself, and the Wolfman.
Yeah.
And they pull on a statue, and there's a trap door.
yeah, and then he takes the amulet out, and Dracula grabs him, but then fat kid shoves some garlic pizza in his face because he just happens to have some in his pocket.
Because
Pocket full
all
of
fat
pizza.
people just carry around pizza.
I
No,
got
I
some
understood
pizza right
that.
now.
Yeah, I understand that because I was a chubby kid.
And then they
But a whole pizza slice?
No, it was like a half pizza slice, which is perfectly
Oh, well, that makes sense.
reasonable
Yeah.
to wrap that up in foil and keep it in your pocket.
I guess.
and
If
then
you
they
get hungry.
So anyway, those kids get out while they're investigating Frankenstein's house,
Dracula.
or Dracula's house. Rudy and what is the friend's name? Patrick are trying to determine if the neighbor girl is a virgin, because she comes across as being pretty slutty.
Yeah.
Always
Just by
changing
open
from the
window with
windows.
their knockers out.
Yeah,
Although, well, we'll get to the knock count later.
right. But they need a virgin to read the sacred text so they can open up a portal to limbo and shove all the monsters back into wherever they've come from. I guess they get tired of waiting, and they all meet up with the scary German guy.
Because they got to do this before the stroke of midnight,
Right, right.
which I find real depressing because, like, that's all I've ever wanted in life was just to have one thing to have to do before the stroke of midnight, you know? Like, stop a terrorist plot or, like, fight a monster or something, close a portal. Just one time in my life. My childhood sucked. Didn't have shit going on. Damn it. Didn't have a tree house, didn't have friends to put my hands in with.
But yeah, never had to, spy on anybody or solve any mysteries, Scooby-Doo style.
I'd say adulthood's been disappointing as well, because I figured as a kid, like, there would be a time when I'd have to do something in the nick of time.
We'll have to come up with a mission for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Kill Matt by midnight. Go.
There's a bomb strapped to Matt.
You guys, you're gonna wake up shackled in a room like fucking Saw. It'll be Murray here going, "Want to play a game?"
Murray is a cat, by the way,
Yes, he
for you
seems
listeners at home.
quite content. Okay, continue on.
Yeah. So they make it out of the mansion with the amulet, and they're trying to meet up with Patrick and Rudy because they've got the supposed virgin. They end up converging, and creepy old German guy with his Panzer helps them escape the mansion because like the mummy's hot on their tails at this point.
And that mummy, although he's limping around like he's all fucked up, he just like jumps onto a moving car.
Yeah, it was like Terminator 2 shit.
Yeah, like nobody's business.
Yeah. It's a good thing they found a scrawny dude to play him, because that guy looked all bony.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mummy.
he was a good mummy.
it was a good mummy.
Yeah.
All the monsters look great,
Oh yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that it was Stan Winston Studios that did this.
Always worth knowing, Stan.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. I love to. Okay, so how they finally kill the mummy is old Rudy, who ends up being a bad motherfucker.
He is.
Kills like
Fucking,
What do you mean
all the
ends up? He
monsters.
was
He's
Okay, he
badass
starts
throughout.
off, but
Yeah.
he starts off as I'm like, come on,
He like
he's kind
goes
of a
from
corny.
like bully, like Slayer to vampire Slayer.
Yeah. Kills most of the monsters in this movie. But he does it in a great way. He shoots an arrow with the mummy's bandage tied to it to a tree while they're hauling ass down the road, which just unravels him like a fucking Weezer sweater.
Oh.
And then the mummy's skull. All that's left is a skull chunk rolling across the street. Awesome.
It was awesome.
Beautiful death.
Oh yeah. And from there they try and make it into town to the church because it's like the holiest place.
Well,
Fair enough.
monsters hate anything.
Oh yeah,
holy.
monsters hate holy things,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
understandable.
It was an impressive amount of cursing for these little kids.
Yeah, in the 80s, they didn't have a problem with kids
Yeah.
cursing.
Usually,
Those were the good old days.
yeah.
Yeah. Remember Chunk saying he had, or Mal saying he had pictures of Chunk's mom naked and stuff? It was a different time, I guess.
Yeah, and once they get to the town square where the church is, and shit really starts to get real. That's when all the monsters come out.
I love, too, that the church is locked and they're just like, fuck it, we'll do it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's good enough.
Yeah. Oh, and then we've got Dracula goes and fucking just straight up blows up their treehouse with dynamite.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
so mad at this kid. He blows up his treehouse with dynamite. He's got a ton of...
Yeah.
Like, he's fucking dynamite crazy. He's
Yeah,
blowing up
he
the
does.
wall. He's blowing up the... He blows up the cop car with the dude's partner in it. Fucking kills the one black guy in the whole show.
Yeah.
Every time. Every goddamn time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something
sorry.
like
I guess
Dynamite.
I haven't really talked too much about Dracula, but he's kind of the main antagonist here. He's
Real
like this
prick.
central driving plot.
Well, yeah, he's
Point.
definitely the one trying to unbalance the forces.
And I like that they didn't try to overcomplicate it. Like Dracula didn't really have that many lines in the movie.
He hissed at some folks.
Yeah.
He just looks sinister.
He said
Some
like,
shit with
"The
Dynamite."
boy will be mine." That sort of
Yeah,
shit.
he said a real badass line. Meeting adjourned when he walked away from the
Yeah.
treehouse blowing up.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess another point I should touch on, just to rewind a bit, is that the reason the kids ended up with Frankenstein is that Dracula sent him on like a recon mission to
Kill the kids.
Yeah, kill these kids because he knew that they would be a problem. Because a group of 12-year-olds is probably the biggest problem Dracula has to face.
Especially when they wouldn't sell him the journal.
Yeah.
He's like, "Fuck these kids, go kill them." One of my favorite parts is okay. So Dracula flies away from the cop's house after blowing up the kids. Sean's dad was was a cop, and so they chase Dracula from the house, and the fucking cop shoots the bat out of the air
Yeah.
from his car while he's driving down the road.
And like a sporting goods store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he crashes through the window, is laying there all half bat and half man. All
Yeah,
that stuff.
and like the dad he was a lot like Rudy.
He was going
And
for
as
it
a
too,
badass.
yeah.
Yeah, he took the stick of dynamite and he's gonna use that to blow Dracula up. And the Wolfman intervened.
And
Yeah.
the Wolfman got blown up. But,
And I like the way he did it too. Like he was like, I could just like throw this dynamite at him, but fuck that, I'm gonna shove it down his pants,
Kick his ass out the
blow
window.
his,
Yeah.
blow his
Yeah.
Wolfman nards off.
Man.
Haven't his nards been through enough,
His
you
nards
guys?
had a bad.
They should have shown that like a furry ball sack crawling back.
That was a cool scene too, because you always wonder, like, everyone says you have to have silver bullets to kill a werewolf. What happens if you don't? Well, now we know. According to this,
He just
it
comes
all
back together,
slides on back together, and
and his clothes came.
Yeah,
back
even
too.
his pants came back together.
It's like the Incredible Hulk.
yeah, magic pants. Come to find out, if you de-pants the werewolf, he'll also die.
Of embarrassment.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a thought. Which was the cooler werewolf transition scene, this or Thriller?
Thriller, it was actually a were-cat.
Yeah, were-creature.
Were-creature, okay.
Yeah, transformation.
I felt like it was more elaborate in Thriller. This one,
Yeah.
they kind of showed it, but it wasn't. It was cool because he's in a phone booth and he like smashes out of it.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a whole lot of shots of the actual transformation. There was a lot of cut back and forth. With Thriller, they really tried to show all of the features change. The claws come out.
Yeah.
I think Thriller might be it's like per minute the best horror movie of all time.
It's pretty
So
awesome.
yeah, it packs a lot in there.
Also, Stan Winston.
Was it Stan Winston?
Yeah.
And wasn't it the director from American Werewolf in London?
Yeah.
That directed the video.
Yeah.
John Landis.
John Landis,
Yeah.
yeah. Kathleen said something too. One of the best werewolf transformations was Hemlock Grove. Did you guys see that one? Didn't I show you that scene? Well, maybe not. There's a scene where the kid is turning into a wolf, and he rips through his skin, and then as the wolf just starts munching his own skin.
Awesome.
He's just like all shaking off the blood, like how they do when they're wet, and then just starts eating the chunks of his own skin that he's just ripped off.
pretty bad.
One of the best werewolf changes I've seen in fucking forever.
You're gonna have to show me that again.
Yeah, it's
Was
amazing.
it better than Thriller?
It was fucking awesome. I don't know if it'd be better.
Thriller
than
was pretty
I
badass.
think the all-time best werewolf transformation everyone always says is what was it? Werewolf in Paris or Werewolf in
London.
American Werewolf in London?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
because he had like the
definitely-
big and that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But that Hemlock Grove scene was pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, they should send us some money for mentioning that.
Just seeing it, like the idea that he would be like, there's some chunks of meat here.
Yeah.
A dog would eat chunks of meat, I would
Yeah.
think. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was cool because like his eyes popped out, like the wolf was inside of him and just came out instead of changing into it, like you would see. It was just like, I got to get this fucking human off of me. It was really cool.
It's pretty badass.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Good show too.
So
We just get to the end of this damn movie.
Where were we?
Oh, yeah. Well, we cut back to Rudy being a badass again, staking Dracula's
Vampire bitches.
yeah, vampire bitches. I like that.
He walks out into the street, shoots like
with cigarette in mouth. And he says, I'm in the goddamn club, aren't I?
It shoots like 3 vampire chicks.
With a bow and arrow stake.
Yeah. And then kills the Wolfman, who has come back together and is fucking ripping cops all up the shit.
Yeah.
Shoots him with the silver bullet that he put together in woodshop class. Actually, he has to take a cop's gun because he doesn't even have his own gun.
Yeah.
Fucking kills the Wolfman. Meanwhile, Fat Kid's getting chased around by the creature from the Black Lagoon, and that asshole
Hey, here's a thought.
EJ won't let him in the store.
Yeah, and like, it looks like a comic store or something. Here's a thought,
Looks
like
a diner.
I see like where like you'd have the ability to make like a slug and a casing. Where did he get the gunpowder from?
Well, he stole everything else. I assume he stole that too.
So once they've dispatched most of the monsters, this is kind of the kids versus Dracula at this point.
Yeah,
And Dracula's got some pretty badass skills.
And they've determined that the girl they thought was the virgin wasn't a virgin.
she said it was because it was Steve, and Steve doesn't count.
Yeah. So they've got the little girl Phoebe trying to read the German. She's basically just repeating
It's a
what
little
scary
weird to
German
think
guy
of like a
tells her.
6-year-old as a virgin.
Yeah,
Here's-
it's weird that they had to ask.
Yeah.
Here's what I was wondering too: is like it never said anything about having to be a girl virgin. All those kids
Yeah.
were
Yeah,
virgins.
yeah.
Yeah,
Except
even
for maybe
badass
Rudy.
Rudy.
Oh,
I'm
really?
s-
Well-
they never said. I mean, he was still scamming on the neighbor girl, so
That's
he
true.
clearly wasn't.
Yeah, if he
doing
was
better.
getting laid, like why would he be hanging out with a bunch of kids? In
Yeah,
the house?
yeah. No one's joining the monster squad if they got some pussy.
He'd just be there like, look, guys, it's real cool, but I've got some pussy waiting on me.
Yeah,
Thanks for letting me hang out in the treehouse, but
yeah. Loads of fun, fellas.
I'm actually gonna need all you guys to leave, so
Yeah, maybe that's what he was doing. He was trying to find some place he could get laid.
treehouse. That's cool, baby. I got a treehouse.
so yeah, because they get the portal to open up finally after, is it Sean's little sister
Yeah,
reads all of it in German, and then yeah, everything.
I think
how-
it's important to note that Dracula at one point has Phoebe, and the only reason she is saved from him, like killing her, is
Yeah,
that
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein saves
Oh,
her.
yeah.
yeah,
It's Frankenstein.
Which that was what I hoped for. Like if they could do that, reanimate my corpse, I want to come back as like a friendly old giant that just like helps kids out, you know. They're like, oh my cats, but I think I'm too short to be a good Frankenstein. Maybe that's why he has the boots, because like
Yeah.
otherwise, like me as a Frankenstein would be that intimidating. Like oh, and I'd be like,
I don't know if you're,
villagers would be like,
if you're like a big corpse. I think. Well, zombies aren't all that intimidating.
yeah,
I feel like little person Frankenstein would be more convenient. Just
yeah.
Save on parts.
yeah.
Just buy him a little bed.
Yeah. But yeah, so Frankenstein comes back and saves the day. He's the big hero, like everyone assumed he would be.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't be killed by a shitty door frame
Yeah, exactly.
collapsing on him.
Yeah. I mean, God, how old must the guy be at that point? Yeah, and then he slings old Dracula into the portal where Van Helsing
He
jumps
comes and
out and
grabs
grabs him,
him.
gives them all the big thumbs
Thumbs
up.
up, yeah. Universal sign of a bad motherfucker. Fucking thumbs up.
I wonder when
Yeah.
the thumbs up was invented, because I don't know if Helsing was in on that.
There was the gladiators.
Oh, yeah.
Because they would do thumbs up
Oh.
and thumbs down.
Okay, so
they
yeah.
live or die.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think he was post
Or
gladiator.
plus, Van Helsing's a pretty rad dude. He'd flash the thumbs up when he needed
Yeah.
to.
He's been watching from the portal.
I'm surprised he didn't do like Christian Bale, American Psycho, where he's like flexing and yeah, pointing at him.
And all the monsters get sucked into the portal, including poor old Frankenstein.
And a bunch of fucking cops. And
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were dead.
Yeah.
that one guy was flailing. He was clearly.
Oh.
Yeah, still alive.
Who cares about me? And that was about.
Well, and then the
wraps it.
army shows up.
Oh.
After it's all said and done, the army comes.
Because Eugene sent him that super sweet note that said,
Oh,
"What
Army
monsters?"
guys, monsters.
Yeah.
how did I miss that connection? I miss, like, the best parts.
It's too intricate, the script.
Yeah,
we need to
it's
watch
too
these
deep for me.
movies 2 times before
Yeah.
we do these. Yeah. So then the army shows up and everything's already done and they don't have anything to do except look pissed off, which they do very well. and then they all have that happy like we did it moment,
And the camera pulls back, and
yeah.
I kind of feel sorry for Van Helsing though, because he's been working his whole life to try and kill Dracula, and
Some little punk ass kid does
in
it.
like a day and a half, like a group of 12
They're like, wait a minute, you trying to grab like a 6-year-old and have her read it?
Yeah.
Like we brought a teenage bitch to do it.
That was the problem, is they shouldn't have had a girl trying, or like a young girl trying to read it. She just had to repeat what the other guy said. So they should have got like a just say this.
Yeah.
So I first saw this movie when I was a kid. My friend Michael had this on like a VHS, and I remember watching it like, this is the best movie ever. And we would all quote the movie endlessly. I can't count how many times I said, kick him in the nards, and then somebody'd say, he doesn't have nards, and I'd say, kick him. And then Wolfman's got nards. And it was actually Kathleen that suggested we watch it this time. I would have went with something
Campier.
probably shittier. But what'd you guys think?
yeah, this is by far my favorite movie we've watched so far. I really liked it.
And we should say that the first one we watched was Slaughter High. The second one we watched was Brain Scan. So it's not like we've dug too deep into the horror
Lexicon.
pool
I don't know,
here.
that kind of covers everything, doesn't it?
Brain Scan and Slaughter High.
I thought it was awesome. Quintessential 80s movie, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, and that was a great little 80s movie trope. Or I guess any movie trope is where the kids have to teach
I think you
some
should explain
idiot.
what a trope is.
Something that happens a lot, some
Sort of a stereotype.
thing that happens in movies all the time. Yeah, there's always a scene in movies where kids have to teach some outsider the cool hip lingo of the era. Because
Oh,
Frankenstein
yeah.
is learning words like
It was like
Bogus.
bogus,
Bogus, yeah.
rad.
same with Hasta La Vista Baby when
Yeah.
John Connor
Yeah.
caught the Terminator. Yeah.
Stan Winston movies.
Stan
What they do in
Winston.
Alien.
I don't think.
Then-
Get away from her, you bitch.
Yeah, I don't think Newt really.
They had
Although,
bigger concerns.
yeah,
Didn't have
they,
time to teach.
they had some real problems in that one. But I really did enjoy this movie a lot, and sounds like everyone did. Kathleen,
yeah,
of
I
course,
like a
loved it.
lot. I watched it all the time when I was little, so makes me nostalgic.
And to classify these monsters is really fucking easy because there's a vampire, a werewolf, a Frankenstein,
And a mummy.
a mummy,
And
and
a creature from the Black Lagoon.
let's go on ahead to the terrible trivia.
All right, first bit. The scenes of two future stars were cut from this movie. We talked about one earlier, but Dustin Diamond, who later became Screech from Saved by the Bell, had a bit part.
And a dick on Celebrity Fit Club.
Dick in real life,
Yeah,
really.
he's mostly just a dick.
He had a bit part where he was supposed to be selling the kids some comic books, but it was cut. And then the surprising one is that Liam Neeson had a
They
part
cut
that was
Liam
cut.
Neeson?
What the fuck? Who did he play?
It doesn't even say. It has an undisclosed role that he was actually paid for, but it never made it into the movie. We talked about Stan Winston and how he modeled all the monsters. But fun fact is that Wolfman, his face was actually modeled to Stan Winston's own likeness.
Incredible. That explains why it looked so beautiful. I felt like it was looking into my soul.
Then John Grease, I think that's how you say his last name,
I
Uncle
would
Rico.
think, yeah. Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
He was the guy who played the upset guy who later turns into Wolfman in this movie. But he actually also played Wolfman in Fright Night Part 2. So
Oh, that was him.
There's
Yeah,
part two.
we should
Wolfman
mention that
guy.
this dude, like, you remember him as Uncle Rico, but he is, like, in every movie
He
ever
was
made.
in
Laszlo
Lost.
Holyfeld in Real Genius with Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
He was in Lost. Who did he play in Lost?
he was Ben's dad.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
they
yeah.
found his corpse at
He was
Workman.
the T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Gru.
Yeah, fucking great actor that you see a million times, but you don't really know. I think Uncle Rico, he was so funny.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
fucking hit him in the face with that steak. Now I died laughing.
All right. Michael Faustino, who plays Eugene, the Mummy Came in My Room kid.
Mm-hmm.
He is the younger brother of David Faustino, who played Bud Bundy on Married with Children.
Did you do anything else besides Bud Bundy? Why would you?
He's tried.
He'll never top Bud Bundy. So
He
why
tried to have
bother?
that rap career for a while.
Oh, that's
like
right,
in
he
real
did.
life. Yeah.
Oh, they
In
all
real
tried,
life?
didn't they?
Was it Grandmaster B?
That's what the writers of the show were making fun of him.
Oh, that's hilarious. Do you have some more trivia?
I do. In the early 2000s, there was a hardcore metal group called Scary German Guy.
Nice.
And then the one that's going to ruin everybody's image of a badass Rudy is Ryan Lambert, the guy who plays Rudy, actually started his career on a show called Kids Incorporated.
I remember that show.
Yeah, where it was like a comedy show where a bunch of kids would do funny skits, and then there was like musical numbers in it too. It was kind of the gayest shit in the 80s, but every kid liked it.
Was it kind of like Zoom then? Or
I
like
remember Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but,
remember you can't do that on television.
yeah, where you say, I don't know, and
Sort
you
of a
get
sketch
slimed.
show. Yeah.
But- Yeah, this one I remember I'd always like have to go into a different room to watch it because I didn't want my brother to see that I was watching it because he would make fun of me.
Oh.
Yeah, but I knew it was bad.
I used to watch Hey Dude.
Oh, I fucking
What
love
is
it,
that?
dude.
It was a show about a dude ranch.
I remember that show.
Yeah.
That show was awesome. And you
And
know
one
Mr.
time-
Ernst was Arnie from Pete and Pete.
Really?
You know what I remember from that? There's one episode they had written Dude Ranch out in the rocks, and like to be funny, they went out and changed it to Nude Ranch. And like at the end of the episode, this naked couple showed up.
Yeah, we watch that show all the time.
Yeah.
Is there more trivia? Or is that all?
Uh,
you got a cat?
There's
I think that's it. Anyway.
got a cat on notes.
Now,
Okay, real quick. David Faustino has 91 actor credits on his IMDb page.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, 3 writer's credits and 3 producer credits. He directed a movie called Starving. No, it's a TV series. I don't think it did very well.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
All those people from that show just keep on kicking
Yeah,
ass.
trucking.
Kathleen mentioned that the mother of the Sean from the Monster Squad was also the mother of Mikey from the Goonies.
Yeah.
And so we were saying, who would win in a fight between the Goonies and the Monster Squad?
Yeah.
Initially, my first reaction was the Goonies would take it, no problem. But after seeing like
Fucking
Rudy
Rudy
kill
tear
all those
shit
people,
up. Yeah.
even
Rudy alone.
Fat Kid blasted the Gill Man with the shotgun,
Yeah.
and wasn't even grossed out. It wasn't even sad. It was just like, that's right,
Yeah.
bitches.
He cocked a gun. He's like, "My name's Eugene."
Yeah.
Horace. Whatever.
He just said somebody else's name.
Yeah, he doesn't like Horace anyway. My name's William now. What do you think? Who do you guys have? You think the Monster Squad would take it?
Oh,
I gotta
yeah,
go Monster
definitely.
Squad.
Frankenstein over Sloth.
He smoked.
Oh.
Rudy smoked. I didn't see. What's that? Josh
Bran
Brolin's
lifted weights
character.
though.
Brandon
That's a
Yeah,
good
some
point.
he
weights.
was.
He had a
was lifting.
bandana.
You saw him ride that like little girl's bike.
That's a
She's
good
hauling
point.
ass, yeah.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, if we're going by like the future, Josh Brolin's a lot better off than Rudy is. Because I'm not exactly sure who Rudy is. Who Josh Brolin is.
Yeah.
I don't think Frankenstein would win in a fight against Sloth though.
Sloth's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, he seems a lot more
He will.
ambulatory.
He's got the handicap strength, the mentally challenged strength.
He had the fucking pirate sword at the end. That was badass.
Yeah. Although I gotta give it to Frankenstein because Frankenstein, he out muscled Dracula.
That's true. It's hard to out strength a vampire.
Yeah, lived through a roof collapsing on him.
Yeah. Has in fact been
But
chopped
you know,
up
I
and
bet
put back together.
they're such nice guys. They probably wouldn't even fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd
Probably just
get
eat ice
along.
cream and take pictures of neighbor girls.
Yeah.
That kind of kills the whole who would win in a fight question, though, don't you think?
Who would win in a friendship though?
Who
Abe?
would-
That's-
Who would be the
that's
better
really-
friend?
Yeah.
All right, Colby, give us the Count Colby.
Okay.
know there won't be.
Let's find out real quick what this movie was rated.
PG-13.
PG-13?
Yeah.
So naturally there was no boobs in this movie. A good
There's
amount
been
of
some
blood.
boobs in PG-13 movies
There's
before.
been boobs
but-
in PG movies.
Yeah.
before.
What?
I've seen...
Really?
Yeah, it's PG.
But
and
those boobs were hilarious.
they were hilarious.
Wasn't the Romeo
Really?
and Juliet?
I never saw that.
Oh.
Are you
That
talking
should
about
be the two ratings, PG and G. Like, heads up, parents. There might be some, like, bush in this movie. Or, like, G, go for it. Like, no bush. Right. Bush is a
So-
beautiful part of life. That should be in all movies.
So really, just B and then NB, Bush and no Bush. It's
Okay.
your rating
I
system.
should make the MGM thing just a vagina.
Roaring.
Yeah. Instead of the lion mane, just like pubes.
I was listening to Hollywood Babylon, and he said, okay, so they were talking about how Adam Driver was cast to play the new Star Wars, and the guy Ralph Garman, he said he's the guy famous for coming on that girl's tits on that show Girls.
Did it?
Yeah, there's a scene in Girls where they're getting it on, and then then he jizzes on this girl's boob.
Do you see, like, the jizz?
You see the jizz, but you don't see it come out. But like me, I watched so much porno that I barely noticed it. But then the next day, it was like a big deal. Like everyone was so pissed off at this scene. But it just made me laugh because he's the guy famous for coming on that girl's tits in that show. and then when you said that about the rating, I was like, yeah, things get rated weird. And I was like, oh yeah, he did jizz on that girl's tits in that show.
That's not even the worst part. I think the worst part is the line that comes at the end of the movie. It's like, must be weird not having people come on you, huh? Who says that?
Okay, so there were no boobs in this movie, but there were 10 bodies.
And they alluded to. I mean, they showed the girl kind of scantily clad,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah,
no.
she was-
no
And I
actual
drew
boobs.
some boobs on my notes.
Right
So
on.
maybe it's
Yeah.
like,
I think it's worth noting, too, that I had a page and a half of notes, which is the most I've ever had for a movie. Just goes to show how badass this movie was.
It was a good one.
yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, that's the count.
10 bodies.
10 bodies, 0 boobs.
Okay, so now our next little segment here is the critical critique. And this is where we find some critic who talks shit about this movie, and we will in turn talk shit about them
Okay.
for being pricks.
And
So
the
this
cycle
review is by Hal Hinson of the Washington Post. He's a staff writer. He wrote this review on the 17th of August 1987. So shortly after it came out, it reads, The Monster Squad, a horror comedy spoof about an unspecified town that breaks out in a rash of old movie monsters, was written by Shane Black and Fred Decker. And I can just hear the story conference jokes now. They'd go something like, we got a script here from Black and Decker. What is this, a studio or a hardware store? Or you,
He must
or
be old.
you guys are great. When you're finished with the rewrites, you can come over and sand my floors.
Boy, with jokes like that, I can see why he's
Yeah,
a movie
I can
critic.
see why. Yeah, his career didn't take off as a joke writer. Okay, and he continues. Actually, given what's on the screen, this little fact may explain a great deal. The movie plays like it was written with a power tool.
Oh, he's back.
Mm,
Jerk off.
Fucking
bazing!
jokes keep coming. This fucking guy.
The film's basic premise is that the forces of darkness, represented by the mummy, the Frankenstein monster, a werewolf, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and last but not least, Dracula, are threatening to filch. That's a new
So he
word for
must
me.
be old.
For filch.
Nobody's used filch for years.
I've heard of felching as really gross.
Isn't that when you stick stuff up your
No, it's like you like a girl's and then you take a straw.
That's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Okay,
I remember being
I don't
mad
think
at the
it's-
guy who told me that.
I know,
was like,
Crazy
"Fuck is
that they
wrong
have a
with
name
you?"
for that.
I don't think anyone knows the actual definition of
Okay. They're threatening to filch an amulet upon which depends the balance of good and evil.
I think it means steal in this context, but
Yeah.
to
No, I'm
acquire.
pretty sure it means.
Back out the straw.
Stuff it
That's
up
why he trapped the Frankenstein in his house. His out with a straw.
That's disgusting. Continue, please. For the love of God.
Depends the balance of good and evil, and forever cast the world in shadow. This crystal, which is concentrated good, he put good in quotations, was located in an abandoned house on the outskirts of town. Don't ask me why he puts in parentheses. Because it's awesome. That's why they did
It had
it.
to be somewhere.
Yeah, like are these kids gonna hop a plane to Transylvania?
Yeah,
And
it
the other
seems like
thing-
he's... Oh, I'm sorry.
Ruined my critical
I'm
critique.
sorry.
Only I can interrupt myself. And the only thing standing in the way of this overwhelming awfulness is a gang of profane little brats who call themselves the Monster Squad.
They were nice kids. They were
They were
good
good
kids.
kids. Yeah, like Rudy saved the fat guy from getting his Snickers squished.
Yeah.
Remember was
Made the bully eat the squished Snickers.
the most profane thing they said was they asked that one girl if she was a virgin. I don't remember exactly how they phrased
Well,
it.
they always say like curse words, like that one girl was like, "Don't be a shithead."
Yeah. He said, "Have you ever been dorked before?"
Which is what I say to
I
all
want a
women.
dork, baby.
Excuse me,
So
ladies.
you want to get your brains dorked out or what?
You know, I read that you weren't allowed to say dork in comic strips because it used to be a euphemism for penis. And I had a friend of mine who was doing a computer service called Dorks at Your Door. And I was like, what a great porno name. Dorks at Your Door.
My mom had a friend named Dorcas, and that's all I can think about.
It's like giving your kid dickhead.
All right. Most of what's included in this unapologetically scrambled mixture of Goonies, Hardy Boys, Adventures, Ghostbusters, and Abbott Costello monster films.
Now, aren't all of those awesome?
They're all awesome. Like, I enjoyed all of those things. Well, I never read the Hardy Boys, but Goonies was the shit. Ghostbusters was
I
the
used
shit.
to read the Hardy Boys. It was badass.
And from what I understand, Abbott Costello was good. I never watched.
Oh yeah, they got a couple good sketches.
Was that the fat guy and the skinny guy? Is that Abbott? Or was that the Honeymooner? Is that Ralph Cramden? And the
No,
other guy?
there was Abbott and Costello were the fat and skinny guy. They did like the Who's on First Base, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Honeymooners was fat guy and the skinny guy too.
I never watched
I
the
thought
Honeymooner.
Honeymooner was fat guy and his wife.
Yeah.
Well, his
Pat
wife
Brady.
did too, but he had like a dumb friend.
Oh, I don't like
We'll
how
look that up too.
the stereotype is skinny people are dumb. That's the thing I'm getting from all those.
And fat people are bossy. Look at Gilligan's Island. It's the same fucking thing.
Okay. Abbott and Costello monster films is bad actors wandering around in bad makeup and rubber masks with two kinds of kids. Cute, intolerably noisy, smart alecky kids, and not so cute, noisy, smart alecky kids. First off, fuck this guy for making fun of the makeup and the rubber mask. As I mentioned before, it's fucking Stan Winston.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure most people are going to be familiar with Stan Winston, but if you're not, he's fucking the Terminator, Jurassic Park,
Predator.
Predator. What else did he do? Pumpkinhead, Aliens.
Yeah. Every awesome.
Yeah, if you saw
movie.
something awesome, Stan Lee probably had something to do with it.
Did you say Stan Lee?
What did I say? Stan Lee?
Well,
Probably Stan Lee too.
Stan Lee probably
he
has
was
something
just
to
saying
do.
his, he was saying his
Spider-Man.
full name, Stanley Winston.
Yeah, Stanley Winston. The late Stan Winston. God rest him.
Yes. Okay. There are parents in the movie too. The kind you only find in movies. The kind who look soulfully into the eyes of their progeny and say, "Do me a favor, will ya? Put your basic lid on it." Fuck does that mean?
Shut up. Fiddle down.
He seemed encouraging of his son. Watching Groundhog Day Part
And see,
4.
we were just saying how we thought they were.
Well, yeah.
The relationship with the father and the son was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It was cool. The mom, there was something lost there because there was that story that they never went back to with them fighting. I don't know, maybe they were going for like a John McClane angle. Where they're like, there's some trouble at home, but fuck it, there's monsters.
She was in Die Hard.
Was she in Die Hard? Holy shit, this woman plays every...
She was married to the director or writer guy who was the connection to all these.
Shane Black?
Fred Decker, maybe?
Oh.
Okay, and the last line here says, "And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the funniest line of the film." So did the character say that?
I don't remember a character
that's-
saying that.
Yeah. I wonder what like his good reviews sound like.
Yeah, all I can say is that he shit on a good movie.
And
it's a
profane
good
little
movie.
brats. That's what makes like the best kids movies. Sandlot had profane little brats.
Well, I don't think that there's any... It's more realism than anything. I've never met a kid in my life who didn't bust a swear word when his parents weren't around. you know?
Yeah.
so now we move on to the Quetzalcoatl. Did you guys come up with quotes this time? Last time I was the only one who remembered to write down a quote.
forgot.
No, I think the last time we all just agreed that sausage dick was the, the most amazing quote.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so my quote was, "Your sister doesn't take German, all she does is sit around and let guys touch her tits." Fucking awesome. Great line.
Mine is just when he's like, Wolfman's got nards.
I
Of course,
forgot.
one of the greatest
forgot?
lines.
Yeah, we're gonna go straight on the mat because I forgot.
Alright. My favorite one was scary German guys bitchin'. Bitchin' needs to make a comeback as a. It needs to re-enter the lexicon.
Let's.
Again, this world's too goddamn PC. You can't take pictures of your teenage neighbor in the window.
Anyone have any last thing to say about this fantastic film?
I mean, Stan Winston, rest in peace.
Do we want to dig deep and examine the themes behind the movie, Abe?
Well, there was that World War II scene that was very sad with the scary German guy having the concentration camp numbers on his arm.
Which that's kind of like a good thing. Like maybe the German guy in there was skittish because he was fucking almost burned up in an oven or in a gas chamber. So maybe you should be nice to the scared German guy.
Yeah, you never know.
Not
what
make fun of
people
him being
have
on
been
welfare.
Yeah, that was the one part where I didn't like the kids when they were talking shit about.
Yeah, that's probably what I meant.
some
Like,
welfare
maybe
kids.
that's it. Maybe Hal Henson was on welfare and he's
Maybe,
like,
yeah.
fuck these kids. They don't know what it's like.
Maybe that's what did it for him.
Ever since then, his mood just soured for this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's weird, like, in a lot of movies, and even in, like, religions like Taoism, like, there's always this focus on, like, good versus evil and how there has to be a balance between the two. That doesn't really make any sense at all.
What do you mean?
Like, that's how battles rage on forever, when two sides are equally matched. Like, it would be better for the good side to be unbalanced.
You should do a segment. You should start doing a segment where you go into all these themes of these movies.
Yeah, we'll like Matt's religious.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a clever name.
John Connor was actually Jesus.
And please,
Terminator.
if anybody can come up with anything better than my shitty names, sinister synopsis and that crap, I'm just
Satan synopsis.
yeah. Is that it? Is that anybody got anything
I
else?
think we touched on all the
Do you want to
topics.
talk about what upcoming toys you're excited for?
I'd say outside of the Bad Blood Predator, there's nothing I can think of.
Did
right
you
away.
see?
Oh, I take that back. There's a Batman action figure coming out, 6-inch figure, and a Catwoman from the 1990s cartoon series.
Well, the toy that I'm looking forward to, it's a 12 inches glass double-sided dildo. Yep. This guy saw it coming.
I see most dildos coming.
It's coming out in a month.
You gotta fun with that liquid powder shit they give you and it squirts out.
Skullfucker, starring Colby Kelly. He sees it coming.
I watched this one episode of Real Sex where they did this prank where they had these people, they were trying to, they brought them in as telemarketers and they were trying to sell this dildo and it was fucking 13 inches and you squeezed it and then the jizz came out of the top. And they're all tasting each other yeah, it does taste like peach. And there's a radio on the balls.
That's so weird.
Oh, man. What station would I tune my dildo to? That's good.
Talk radio. That's interesting.
NPR's on.
Well, that is the end of Meet Your Monsters for this week. Thanks to my friends for hanging out with me, and thanks to the people at home who might be listening to this with all the dildo talk and the straws and the whatnot.
Powdered jizz.
Yeah. If you're following along at home, next week's movie will be Leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
Nice.
Good old
And instead of
Leprechaun.
eating candy during that, we're going to be eating
Corned beef.
Yeah, corned beef and cabbage.
So thanks a lot. That's all we got. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.